They trespassed onto my land and shot my trophy. Buck, they didn't know I'm the sheriff. Some people think badges make you invincible. Others think property lines are suggestions. The men who crossed onto my land thought both, and by the end of this story, they'd regret every smug step they took past my fence. My name's Wade Ellison, Sheriff of Pike County, Georgia, 22 years of service, a clean badge, and a backyard that runs 300 acres deep into red clay country. I don't ask for much, just peace, the freedom to hunt legally on the land my father left me, and for folks to keep their boots off my soil unless invited. That all changed the day the new HOA president in Cypress Ridge, Jeremiah Brooks, decided my fence line didn't matter. We lived beside Cypress Ridge since it was just pine trees and deer trails. Then the developers came. Cookie-cutter homes, speed bumps, and folks who thought a riding mower made them ranchers. They formed a so-called HOA, though legally they only owned the subdivision. But Jeremiah, he treated the title like a sheriff's star. My daughter, Josie, had just turned 17. Every year since she was 12, we tracked the same buck through those woods, Big Iron. We called him a massive 10-pointer with a scar above his left eye. It was her dream to take him fair and square this fall. The deer was more than an animal to her. It was part of how we coped after her mother passed. Tracking Big Iron was their bond. So when I found that buck dead-gutted, slung over the bed of a stranger's truck inside my woods, I lost something deeper than my temper. That morning started like any other. Coffee on the porch, fog lifting over the treetops. Then came the crack of a rifle too close to home. I grabbed my sidearm and drove the ATV toward the southern tree line. That's where I saw the gate, my gate busted clean off the hinges, tire tracks cutting through wet grass. And in the clearing, 3 men, camouflage, beer cans, and my daughter's deer laid out like some prize they won at a carnival. Josie screamed behind me. I hadn't realized she'd followed. Jeremiah stood there smirking, clipboard in one hand, the other resting on the truck's hood. "Morning, Sheriff," he said like nothing was wrong. We were just helping ourselves to a little overpopulation control. I saw red. "You trespassed." I snapped. "That gate was locked. You broke it." "It was unlocked." He shrugged. "The HOA approved a private hunt. The boundaries weren't clearly marked. This isn't Cypress Ridge property. This is my ranch," I growled, "and that's my daughter's deer." The other men looked between us, unease growing. "You got no right to this land, Wade," Jeremiah said low. "That fence was supposed to be moved years ago. You're sitting on disputed lines." I stepped between him and Josie. "This land's been in my family since 1948. I've got surveys, deeds, and history to back it. History don't hold up in court." "Sheriff," he smirked, "paper does, and my lawyer's already filed a claim with the zoning board." That's when Josie broke down, kneeling beside Big Iron's body. She sobbed like she did the night her mama died. Her shaking hands brushed the deer's fur. "We tracked him for years," she whispered. "Why would you do this?" But Jeremiah didn't blink. That night, I couldn't sleep. I replayed it over and over. The broken gate, the way he'd looked at my daughter, the arrogance in his voice, and the worst part, he wasn't alone. Turns out Jeremiah had been letting his HOA friends into adjacent lands for months, setting up illegal hunts, selling exclusive access rights, even charging them under the table. I knew it because the sheriff's tip line blew up. 3 ranchers from neighboring counties called me. One had found spent casings. Another saw unfamiliar trucks. A third had surveillance footage of Jeremiah's crew dragging a wild hog out of his orchard at 3 a.m. That was the thread I needed. I contacted Fish and Wildlife, quietly, discreetly, and I started digging into public land use records, easement documents, and HOA charter filings. What I found was a legal house of cards. The Cypress Ridge HOA was technically non-binding, just a social club with no zoning authority. But Jeremiah had doctored documents, forged access permits, and submitted falsified maps to the county. And worst of all, he'd used HOA funds to pay for private hunts disguised as wildlife control initiatives. He wasn't just arrogant, he was criminal. I looped in the county prosecutor and my deputies. They weren't just lawmen. One was a drone pilot. Another had a cousin at the assessor's office. We gathered footage, witness statements, GPS data. Then I dropped the hammer. The day the arrest warrants were signed, I let Josie ride shotgun in my cruiser. We rolled up to the Cypress Ridge HOA meeting like it was a parade. Blue lights flashing, deputies in uniform. I read the charges myself: trespassing, destruction of property, illegal hunting, fraud, forgery, conspiracy to defraud a homeowners association. Jeremiah turned pale when the cuffs clicked. The other board members scattered like pigeons. One tried to plead ignorance, said she thought the VIP Hunt Club was just a networking event. Another cried. By sunset, the county was buzzing. News crews camped outside the station. Josie gave a statement. He took something from me I can never get back, she said. But I'm proud of my dad. He protected more than just land. He protected our home. The HOA dissolved within a week. Jeremiah was hit with 8 felony charges. My land was reaffirmed by the court, and the county passed a resolution requiring all HOA boards to be transparently audited and legally registered before claiming any property jurisdiction. We rebuilt the gate. Josie mounted Big Iron's antlers above the hearth, not as a trophy, but a memory. A reminder that some fights aren't just about fences or deer. They're about standing up to those who think power gives them the right to take. And me, I'm still sheriff. Still pouring coffee on the porch each morning. Still walking the line between law and land. But now, I watch that southern fence just a little closer. Because once you've seen someone break what you love, you never stop guarding it. The end.